Then we get into semantics and politics and philosophy and religion, and then we just die.
The University of Montreal developed a new DNA clamp. Now, a DNA clamp is a folded protein. When your body makes a new cell, one thing that happens is it sends enzymes to make new DNA, using DNA from an existing cell as a template. But it's sloppy sometimes, and it takes energy to make each copy, and each time it does, there's a chance of mutation. It's a small chance, but it's a chance. Now, a DNA clamp is a special protein fold that binds the enzyme and keeps it from mutating. It basically makes like a solid copy that you can make your cast from every time, rather than start trying to resculpt it from scratch, basically. And they've been using DNA clamps for a long time. But the specific DNA clamp is more accurate and efficient, and it can identify existing mutations and fix them, and it can screen for diseases with genetic factors, and it is over 1,000 times more efficient at DNA synthesis. Like in the time that the normal process would make one strand of DNA of whatever size, this will make 1,000.
Nice. And that's also interesting, too, to consider with stem cells, because one of the main issues with stem cells, you have a tendency towards mutation. So if you have something in place to monitor that or, guide it toward the right thing, then that kind of solves that.
Yeah, DNA clamps would be absolutely useful things to include in stem cell healing methods. Absolutely. Yep. Especially the University of Montreal's DNA clamp. So one thing that is extra cool about this one is it has a fluorescent signal in the presence of DNA sequencing that has mutations with high risk of certain types of cancers.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so compared to other detection methods, it is incredibly easy to distinguish between the mutant and the non-mutant DNA. And the other cool thing about it is the way that it clamps on, it actually creates a triple helix.
Huh.
Yeah. So this extra protein attaches to your DNA and creates a triple helix, and whenever you're doing DNA synthesis, it just reads the third helix and gets all the information, leaving less room for variation. So, I don't know.
That is really interesting and like a really cool idea, and it's kind of interesting that they even thought of that.
Well, there are triple helixes naturally occurring in nature, and it did say in the articles that I was reading that they were inspired by that, by nature's natural triple helixes. Like, how do these things work, and why do they exist, and can we make them work for us? And the answer is yes. Yes, in fact, we can.
Awesome. I've also wondered, like, not to be negative about it, but if there's any potential consequences or side effects that could happen from it, like any medical technology ever always has unforeseen consequences, and I wonder like what that could even be with that.
Well, the first things that pop into my head are, natural spontaneous genetic mutation is what evolution is.
Right.
That's true. So in this we are absolutely hands-on affecting our evolution, which, there may be some ethical concerns about. I, for one, am in favor of becoming a mutant, but in a good way. And that's another thing, is this could potentially lead the way that we could engineer positive mutations.
Right.
I mean,
that's a whole ethical debate too.
It is an ethical debate, but the nice thing about this method is that it's something that you do that affects an already living person. It's not like you're genetically engineering an embryo, which I feel is more ethically shaky to some people, or in the hands of some people. But if a person can say, can you mutate my genes so I'm not nearsighted anymore?
Right.
Can you mutate my genes so I don't have type 1 diabetes anymore? Not yet, but maybe.
Well, and also like things like cancer prevention is
Cancer prevention.
huge interest. Like that's one of those things that I think almost validates it as far as like normal standards of medical applications, because that's one of those things that everyone wants to be able to do, like to be able to diagnose cancer as it's happening.
Before, in some cases.
Yes, or before, like
Yeah.
as soon as it is likely to occur. Like people want to know that. So that is definitely like a very practical application that could come out of this kind of technology.
I can't wait till we can be mutants.